Hey, what's going on, guys? If you guys are tuning in later to this, this is going to be a live stream. I'm going to be talking about something I think it's really important. That it's very simple, but I think that like a lot of people are missing it, and I think it's going to help a lot of people. Not just with Safemoon. It's not just interesting how this played out with Safemoon, but it's also like this is what's happening across the board in all of DeFi, and I'm going to be breaking that down. What basically is happening. So it'll help you not buy into projects that are bad. It'll help you understand where the impact on the charts is actually going to be. And it'll help you understand how to differentiate like a good project from a bad one. And so I'm going to be going over all that now. I think people are going to really resonate with what it is I have to say because it's true. And I think that if you just think about it, you realize this is true. So real quickly, I know if you're watching this, you might be able to just scoot forward a minute or so. I just want to share this to Twitter real fast. So in order to do that, I've got to get the link. Oh, I just want to, there we go. Just want people from Twitter to be able to join as well. And honestly, I feel like a lot of what I'm talking about is like a huge deal. I feel very confident that this isn't boring. This isn't simple. This is like going to massively impact the people's perspective who are in DeFi. All right, cool. I shared it. I'm gonna get right into it right now. So, the lies of Safemoon. Sorry, I need one last thing, and I'll be good to go. John's not in jail yet. He's just he's having his course. He's trying to, or his court date hasn't been set yet. All that will decide the guilty verdict and all that, and they'll be able to go through trial and decide all that. So I'm gonna get hot and heavy into this real fast. Safemoon. You start to look at like why did Safemoon blow up, and it was because a lot of people believed an idea, right? And I think that this is what most of you're seeing in cryptos. What affects the charts is not the idea as much as it is whether or not people believe that idea. And so I think if you look at Safemoon, you'll see that it was what made Safemoon big was just that people believed it would be big. It was the ideas that people believed. And it was also the community mindset, which is also like another big component to this that is super important actually. Once you understand, once I say this, you'll realize like, oh yeah, that's definitely true. Community mindset is a massive thing, but if the idea is true, then the belief in it is founded, right? But if the idea is not true, then the belief is unfounded. And what that means is the idea isn't actually going to impact the charts. It's just the belief in the idea that's going to impact the charts. And so I think when you're looking at any crypto project, that if you understand that whatever it is that the project is promising, you know, utilities, the future, whatever it is, it's more so going to be the belief in that idea that is what you're going to see on the charts. And this isn't complex, right? This is really simple. Everybody like knows this, but it might not just been put into words. And when you simplify it and you point it out, it becomes a lot clearer for people. And so this is what I believe is that if you believe in an idea of a project, which is the idea is the narrative or the story, right? And that's like a huge deal. And a lot went into the narrative or the story of Safemoon. Now, it kind of comes down to, is it easier to get people to believe an idea that's true or that's not true when it comes to telling them that they're going to make so much money that they need to buy it? You know, with a pyramid scheme, you can't tell people the truth, basically. You have to deceive them in some way that oh yeah, you're going to make a bunch of money. Well, there's a bunch of people in the pyramid scheme at the bottom who aren't going to make a bunch of money, but it's important for them to believe they are. And so this is why I believe that crypto, like I've said many times, the liquidity pool operates like a pyramid, like not like a pyramid. It operates as a pyramid. It is a pyramid, how the liquidity pool works. Those who get in earlier at the top, those who get in later at the bottom. Those who get in later are going to lose. But the story, the narrative, the idea that people are believing is what is going to determine whether or not it actually turns out or not. So I would say that when it came to Safemoon, you're going to find that it was all lies. And this isn't me just trying to be hateful. I'm just trying to be real here. It was a rug by design. That's the amount of thought that went into Safemoon. I'm going to steal money from a bunch of people. It wasn't some revolutionary genius who sat down and figured out some new, worked with a bunch of blockchain developers to figure out some new grand idea that's going to change the game. Everybody treated it Safemoon like it was this amazing idea that like the smartest minds in the world have come together to create, which that gets back into the community mindset. And hey, what's up, Everyday Dad? Good to see you, man. Always good for a safe. I'm not trying to. For the purpose of this is to help people understand what it was that happened and how this is part of the reoccurring process that's happening. Is people are buying into ideas that are true or false, and if the idea is true, then it's okay to believe in it. Or it's it's good to believe in it. Safemoon would have been an amazing thing if the ideas that we were believing in were true, and the ideas that we believed in about the origins of it were wrong. The ideas we believed in about the team were wrong. Thomas wasn't a master wizard blockchain expert. We all thought he was. We all like hyped it up like he was. The products, what we believed about all the products were wrong as well. None of the products changed the price. None of them would change the price. They were not these amazing next level tech products. And so basically what this proves is that when it comes to the price moving up, it doesn't matter whether the idea is true or not. To some extent, it matters whether or not people believe it. And obviously you get into the narrative, the story is impacted by the price. So I believe the story is directly tied to the liquidity pool. The liquidity pool is part of the story, right? And it controls sentiment and whatever. So if whales tank the price, then the story starts to go down, right? But Safemoon, it brought in a ton of people who were new to DeFi, who were ignorant to how DeFi works and how all of this works, who don't know anything about blockchain. So they're easily misled by people who know even just a little bit about blockchain. You're going to be able to mislead people. And so what this proved, because Safemoon is one of the biggest cryptos in terms of pulling in people who are new to crypto, and as far as creating an audience or a community of people that are very active on social media, on YouTube, on Twitter, across the board, who can actually push an app or whatever. The community really did become one of the strongest communities I've ever seen in DeFi. And it all was based on an idea that they were going to be rich, that they were going to the moon safely, that they were going to go safely to the moon. But it just wasn't true, right? Like, no, most people who thought they were going safely to the moon, it was only the people who got in early and the people who were taking liquidity. That's it. That's the people who went safely to the moon. The people who got in the very early of the project and the people who were stealing from the liquidity pool. Everybody else, you were not going safely to the moon. You were exit liquidity on the way down. But we can see how explosive the price was. The action of the price was not from the ideas, the promises of utilities or the team or connections or the Gambia or Operation Phoenix. None of that stuff turned out to be true, and none of that stuff even existed when Safemoon blew up. It was simply that a bunch of people believed they were going to be rich. That's where the price action happened, right? And that was that price action was the exit liquidity for the whales, for the early buyers, and for the whales all the way down because of the community that ended up being created. Because what we created with Safemoon, and this is super important to realize as well, is we created a community that had positive expectation, and like that was good. This is why so many people were misled by Safemoon, is because they felt like they were being positive about the future. So they actually tied that positivity to like a positive morality, to like a good thing. But they had super unrealistic uh, perspective, expectations, understanding. They were not able, if the SafeMoon community was actually realistic about how they approached their investment, how they approached the team, how they approached the utilities, we would have been a lot more constructive. And how do we actually make this succeed? We would have seen that reflections only benefit the whales. We would have seen that we would have to get most of the whales out for us to hit, even get anywhere close to the price points we want to hit, and that would require a massive amount of sell-offs. And so there's a lot of people who are getting in, putting $100, $500, maybe 1,000, and hoping for 1,000x when the price was already way too high for something like that. And so what I was trying to focus on is it better to have an idea that isn't true, a lie, to convince a bunch of people they're going to make a bunch of money to help a project grow, or is it better to have the truth? And obviously, when you say it out loud, you're going to be like, well, obviously it needs to be the truth. But if it's the truth, then that truth might be, hey, if you're getting in late to this project, you might not make money. Like, who's going to tell people that? Why would anybody get in a project if they thought, I'm not going to make money in the future of this project, I'm just going to be exit liquidity? But I would say this, that if the idea that you're selling people on is a lie, then that lie only benefits the people at the top, and usually the people that are lying. And clearly, if we look at Safemoon, it was designed as a rug. They misled. John saw the community, the relationship between John. I'm sorry for being all over the place. John and the community was. John would mislead the community with a lie of some idea that was taking Safemoon to just this next god level of existence that was going to cause the price to go insane. That John understood this relationship with the community, and the community played a role in this as well. John just says, I just have to tease about Operation Phoenix. I just got to tease about this. I've got to make it sound like I know what I'm talking about. I've got to talk about nanoparticles. I've got to talk about I just have to feed them a vision that they're going to be rich based off of something. And John understood that very well. That it didn't actually have to deliver on those things. I think that's why he didn't release the exchange, even though it was done, and all those things. But John was more so, it's easier, and this is all of DeFi, by the way, like anybody who's listening to me, this is all of DeFi. It's easier to convince somebody of that they're going to be rich than it is to actually create something that makes them rich. And so it's easier to get rich in DeFi by deceiving people into buying something thinking they're going to get rich. That's a pyramid structure, right? We're back to the liquidity pool, pyramid-like structure, and the bad actors of DeFi. And so the community, like, we fueled this as well. Like, as soon as John told us something, a lot of us, we reinforced each other to take whatever that idea was, not be realistic about it, hype it up, take it to the next level, wildly speculate on how amazing these connections are going to be and how it's connected to the CIA, the Gambian governments, Elon Musk, Dogecoin on Mars. You know, that was what you did. And that's the community reinforced that mindset. Like, they rewarded it to, if you talk positively about Safemoon, it didn't matter how you did it. It didn't even matter how stupid it was. Like, you could say, like, oh, this is probably because John, like, the governments are trying to shut John down because he has this technology that's going to break all of DeFi. And everybody's like, here, you know what I mean? They're like, hey, you know, let's worship this guy because he just said something positive about Safemoon. And so Safemoon created a community that was positive but unrealistic. And so because of that, all John had to do was keep feeding the lies to the community. And it took the people who, were a little more realistic with themselves to eventually start waking up to these products aren't real. John's not who he pretends to be. Thomas wasn't who he pretended to be. The reflections are never going to be passive income. The price is never going to be able to go to what we want it to go to because there's too many holders above us and that market cap's insane. And people already think it's a scam. And it looks like John stole hundreds of millions of dollars. Like, it just kept the narrative, the story of Safemoon, not just the price, but also the story of Safemoon kept getting worse and worse. The price kept going down and the story only kept getting worse. And so this is where I was trying to figure out, because, I am doing something. I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to deceive people. Even if it might seem like a more powerful thing is, to get people to believe an idea, but you don't want to lie to them. You also want to create a community, which I haven't seen this, to be honest. I mean, I've seen it kind of actually in probably Evergrow and maybe Vitreous, but you see communities that it's just so easy for a community to become unrealistic in their expectation of a project, to where the utility or whatever could be huge one day, but they're not approaching it from a standpoint of like harshly criticizing the idea to make sure that it doesn't have any loopholes, and to understand like what is the realistic possibility of this succeeding. Like, if you're trying to create an app that's going to compete with the rest of the market, where there's already tons of apps but yours has crypto attached to it, the odds of succeeding are probably less than 1%. Like, let's be real. Unless you have some unique idea and like a really good developer. And then, like I said, it always comes back to, if you can create an idea that would make a bunch of money, enough money to support a community of investors, then why wouldn't you just create that yourself or do it like legitimately? Why would you go through crypto? If it's going to make so much money, why wouldn't you just do that business for yourself and be a multimillionaire? And it's because, like I was saying earlier, it's easier to make money off of convincing people of an idea than it is to actually produce an idea that makes money. And this is where I think a lot of people are getting burned, is they buy into an idea, they miss the actual thing that causes the price to go up in the charts, which is their belief in the idea is what caused it to go up. It wasn't the idea, it was their belief in the idea. And then that only benefits usually the whales. There's a sell-off, and then because of the sell-off, the price and the story, the idea, the sentiment, the narrative, it's all the same thing, goes down with it. And so here's what I'd say is, if the idea is true, then you can be confident in your belief in it. It's just most of the time the idea isn't true, and when it comes to that, the people who are looking to make profit off of this idea are going to lose to the people who are just looking to take advantage of you. Because the people who are looking to take advantage of you, they know better. They know that it's not the idea, sell the news, that. They know it's not the idea. They know that it's the people that believe the idea. And you're just exit liquidity. Like, they're not going to tell you this. They're making money off of you, whether they be bad actors or whether it just be people who have a little bit of a better idea of what's going on in this space. The idea almost never results in price movement. It's just the belief in the idea that results in that. And so the value actually usually is in the belief in the idea. It's not the idea. The idea doesn't even have to be true. It could be the dumbest, stupidest, most unrealistic idea ever, which I probably would start to put a lot of things on Safemoon in that category of dumb, unrealistic, and stupid ideas, but people believed them. The only reason Safemoon didn't continue to go up was because the whale dominance, because they had a crazy strong community and people believed that, and they were buying the dips, but the whales were not having it. They had the power that the whales had to keep the price down was stronger than tens of thousands or more of community holders who kept buying in anticipation of the price going up. Rarely would they ever allow the price to go up very much. There was only like one time that the price went on a little bit of run after Safemoon's first major dip, and I think it was around the release of the wallet, and they sold it before, like, they sold that news. There's people out there, the power they have, to create that sell pressure is greater than tens of thousands of people. That's because of the pyramid-like structure of the liquidity pool. It slowly over time, as it grows, gives more and more power to the early buyers to take out more and more value out of the liquidity pool. That's what 1,000x is. You put 1,000, you got $1 million. Now you can pull out $1 million out of the liquidity pool. That's the pyramid-like structure of the liquidity pool. And so this, I think, is most of DeFi. If you pull back and you understand that this is most of DeFi, that most projects that have an idea, and it's up to you to gauge, is this idea legitimate or not? Is it actual real business? Have they proven themselves? Do they have a lot of funding? I'm not saying there's not projects that exist. I'm just saying I think most of DeFi, 90+%, they don't care about getting something that actually produces profit or changes the charts. They just care about getting you to believe it and then profiting off of your belief. I promise you, this is most of what's going on in DeFi. It's mostly bad actors who are creating projects to rug them, who are trying to deceive you into thinking that you're safe so that they can steal your money, who are pump and dumping pre-sales. Some people don't even they're not even thinking about projects. They're just focused on pre-sale. Go to this pre-sale, buy a bunch, use bots, destroy the project at launch. DeFi is mostly bad actors. And you know what my goal is to try to get people to understand is you can come up with any you can go to any idea, and you just have to realize that it's, even if you think it's a good project, it's likely that the whales are going to take profits, right? And once they do, the sentiment's going to be down. And after that sentiment goes down, this idea has to be a gold mine. It has to be such a good idea or such a good utility or some kind of huge connection in order to actually create sentiment that can come, a bunch of outside investors, holders who come, they look at that chart like that and they decide, oh yeah, I want to buy this. That is rare. Most people, they want to get in early on a project. They want to, they might not want to do a pre-sale because they keep getting burned on pre-sales, but they want to get in early on something that they feel is a great idea. And so what I believe is that lies are only good for the bad actors, and the truth is good for everybody. Even if, I'm not saying that just because an idea is true that it will make everyone rich, but I'm just saying if we get people to believe something that's true rather than not true, to believe in something that's true rather than not true, then it does less damage to people, and it has more of a reality of making them do well. But one of the big things I was trying to say is to shift people's belief in a project from the idea to the belief, the fact that people believe. And so you'll be able to see on the charts where the price action is likely going to be. You know what I mean? If you look at any chart, Safemoon, Evergrow, any project, they have a roadmap and they have a promise of utilities. That's the mindset of the average DeFi investor, is what is the utility? And it's a good question. It's just that most of the time, a utility is a false sense of future wealth. It's a promise of future wealth that's usually unfounded. It usually doesn't affect the charts. I'm not saying there's not projects that, if they have something serious going on, like serious funding, serious connections, a previous record of running successful businesses or creating real products, then that might actually have a chance. But even with those things, you still have to approach it from hey, the early buyers are probably going to tank. Even if this idea is real, at some point they're going to hit their selling points, they're going to take profits, and then eventually the price might do well. And so even if you had a good project that did the J curve, which is rare, because these people take profits, and then eventually if it's a good idea, you go on the J curve, the price run. Even if you understand that and you're paying attention to that, then you understand that if you're being smart, and we're all trying to be honest here, it's probably good to take profits at a certain point and then reinvest if the price goes down, and then you'll be able to play the project well. That's really what I think DeFi is. It's people that are smarter or have bad intentions taking people who have good intentions or aren't as smart. I think that's like that's the game of DeFi. It's just people taking advantage of each other for the most part. And so I would say, how do you fix this? And I think a lot of it has to do with story, the narrative, the idea is super important. And I think the components that you need for that idea is linked to everything that's going on with the project. That people want to feel early, they want to feel like they're safe, and they want to feel like they're going to the moon. Like that's what people are looking for. But to create an idea that's true, I personally think that I have created something that can do that. And so instead of having hope in an idea, which is like a promise of utilities or partnerships or some future event that's going to, like a successful business is a very hard thing to do. This is not easy stuff. This is very unlikely stuff to succeed. And the price action is going to be based on the amount of people that buy that, and the team and the early buyers are going to take those profits. So I want to shift the idea to the contract, so that your hope in something isn't something that may or may not be true, that might or might not have value. But by shifting it into tokenomics, now you can put people's faith in something that is math. It's not a promise. It's not a false idea. It's not a hyping up of an idea that may or may not affect the price. Tokenomics is code. It's math. And so I think that in doing so, by people understanding that it's the belief in the project that causes the price to go up and not the idea, not the idea being true, I mean, then you'll understand that that's what causes projects to grow. It's just the fact that people believe they're going to grow. And so I think that, my goal is to approach something for what it is and not for what it's not. Now, every crypto, that's what I realized as I was covering DeFi. Every crypto is presenting itself as something that it's not. If you pay attention to any crypto that you're looking at, most of the time, like rarely, sometimes no, but most of the time, they're trying to present themselves as the next big thing. And if you look at why they're the next big thing, it's based on something that everybody else is doing, usually, or it's not really that different, or it's just a promise to be something massive that would actually take, probably millions of dollars in like the most advanced teams to be able to create something that can actually compete with today's markets that have those things. Usually, the idea isn't true. So we understand that it's the belief, and then if you shift it into tokenomics, and then people can believe in something that is solid, that can't be proven to be wrong because it's a fact. That's why I'm like, if the narrative of the project is the contract, and the contract is dealing with the number one problem of why a project fails, and the number one problem or the number one reason why it succeeds, then you can shift your hope into the reality of what's actually going on in DeFi, right? Instead of it being and believing in a promise of some future event, utility usually, that's going to be causing the project to succeed, I'm just saying, hey, this is what's actually going on in DeFi. People are believing ideas that's causing them to buy projects, and then that's being destroyed by the whales and the early buyers or the people that are bad actors. That's the reality, right? So we're approaching DeFi as a whole for what it is. And in understanding this, there's already like a deep level of transparency in this moment. And so, that's why I talk about like what is the number one problem of why a crypto fails, and what's the number one reason a crypto grows. The one problem why it fails is bad actors and the pyramid-like structure of the liquidity pool. Like there's no way to get around that. That even if you remove bad actors, the liquidity pool turns into a pyramid structure, and that pyramid structure incentivizes the early buyers to sell before each other at the highest point. Whoever puts the biggest red candles on the chart is the winner in every DeFi project. That's your goal, is to put as big as a red candle as you could possibly get on that chart, and you're the winner. And so DeFi liquidity pools reward people who destroy projects. That's the incentive. That's the game. That's literally the game of a liquidity pool, is to destroy the project. The number one reason a project grows is because belief in an idea, whether the idea is true or not, most of the time it's not true, followed by the whales holding, those early buyers. The more they allow the project to grow, the more money you can sit on, the more the project's going to grow. So whales holding. And so for me, my entire approach to this, after watching what went wrong with Safemoon, after watching how everything was founded upon lies, from reflections to the liquidity being locked, to John being a visionary CEO who has huge connections that's doing the next big thing, to the exchange, to the blockchain, to literally everything was just an idea that John was using to deceive people into believing that Safemoon was going to do well in order to benefit off of them. And that's exactly what he did. And that's exactly how almost every aspect of Safemoon existed, was a lie that was intended to profit the people at the top from the people at the bottom. And so, and this is how most of DeFi works. I don't think that Safemoon is unique to this. I think most of DeFi is bad actors who are creating false narratives in order to profit off of the people that believe those narratives. 100%. Like, I know anybody who's been in DeFi for a little while, you understand that this is the reality, and it's a massive problem, because what it starts to present is that if you're going around buying projects, your chances of doing well are very bad, because there's so many bad actors, and bad actors are incentivized to make new projects, to rug those projects, to pump and dump, to deceive people into believing so that they can profit off their belief, because the belief is where the power is, right, in the project. And so I personally feel like the only way to figure out a problem is to understand it, even if it's very simple, right? These ideas all are very simple. This isn't complex, deep, hard to understand things that anybody could just sit there and think about that and be like, oh yeah, this is what's going on. You just have to do that. And so the problem is simple, and so I believe the solution is simple as well. And so remove bad actors, right? And so you need somebody you can trust. A lot of people, I told them I'm doing a project, and they were like, oh, I'm buying. And I'm like, you don't even know what it is. They're like, yeah, I just trust you. I know you're not going to rug. I was like, well, just check out the project first. If you only buy it if you think you're going to do well. Like, you can't just buy a project because you know I'm not going to rug. But I will say that there's so many rugs going on right now that people knowing that someone's not going to rug a project is already a very valuable thing. Now, I would never use that as a selling point, because I wouldn't do a project. Because I know, and I've watched people, just because you do a project and you lock the liquidity, you don't give anybody tokens, it doesn't matter. You still have the pyramid structure of the liquidity pool. It's only going to last as long as the early buyers allow it to. Once they take profits, the project's dead, and every ounce of marketing that's being done is for the benefit of the early holders who take profits. Because after that, the project's dead. I've watched it too many times. And it seems like an honest and moral thing to do, to be like, hey, we're launching this project. No one's touching the liquidity pool. There's no bad actors. We don't have any access to it. We're not getting any secret wallets. We're doing the pre-sale. We're doing the launch with you guys. It's like, hey, that's great. That is a more honest approach. But the project's only going to benefit the early buyers, because that's the design of the liquidity pool. So you remove the bad actors just by not being a scammer or a pump and dumper or somebody who's lying to profit off of you. You need somebody who's telling you the truth. And I hope that you guys, anybody who watches this, can realize that I'm trying to be very truthful about how depraved and bad how bad DeFi is, and how everybody's actually trying to take advantage of you by causing you to buy into a lie and then profiting off of your belief in that lie. That's DeFi. I'm sorry. There are projects that are aiming to do well, but even those projects have a very hard. Even if you're honest, the liquidity pool is such a problem to trying to build a project, at least in DeFi. Maybe not in stocks, but in DeFi, it is very hard because the liquidity pool rewards and incentivizes the destruction of the project. Like, there is no reason for you, if you're sitting on $100,000 or $1 million, to not take those profits. In fact, there's a lot of reason for you to do that, right? Because then you missed out on taking those profits, whether it be 10 grand, 5 grand, 3 grand, 100 grand, $1 million. And this is how a liquidity pool works, right? You have the native coin, and a project starts, all the tokens are in that contract. People start sending native coin into it, and they start getting tokens out of it. And as long as people keep sending value into the liquidity pool, less tokens, because of the ratio. That's why a liquidity pool is a pyramid. It's because of the ratio to the native coin to the token starts drastically changing, and you start having less token and more native coin. And so the people who got the tokens in the beginning, they have more ability to pull out that value, while the people who are getting it later have less and less ability to pull out that value. The price of tokens goes up, you get less tokens, right? So how do you fix that? And this is where I've never heard anybody say this. I've not heard one single person in all of DeFi say this. Maybe they've tried to do this in certain ways, but I've never heard anybody spell it out this clearly. The liquidity pool takes in wealth, and it gives out wealth. It's a wealth distribution mechanism that takes in and sends out wealth. So that's very simple, right? And so what's the answer to that? Well, we have to, but the problem is it rewards and incentivizes the destruction of the project through a pyramid-like structure. So how do we counter that? Well, we need a secondary wealth distribution mechanism. Tokenomics. Tokenomics, what can you do? You can use a tax. What is a tax doing? It's taking in value, and then you can do whatever you want with that value. I'm saying let's take it in and let's give it back out. Let's just do that. Just like the liquidity pool takes in value and gives it out based on a pyramid-like structure, let's use tokenomics to take in value and give it out, but not in a pyramid-like structure. Let's do it in a way that rewards, incentivizes the growth of the project instead of the death of it. So we're utilizing the number one factor of why a project grows, which is the belief, and we're allowing for, by shifting that value from the liquidity pool into a secondary means of distributing wealth, we are alleviating sell pressure for whales. Because when you're a whale and you sell, that's usually just like, oh, I hope the price doesn't go up anymore, because then I'll feel like I made a bad sell. There's no benefit to not selling in a taxless token, but in a tax token, when there's rewards that are being given out in the future, then when you sell, you're missing out on all the rewards you would have gotten. Now with Safemoon, the whales were getting all the rewards on a daily basis. The volume was happening. They were getting all the rewards, all the tokenomics. Tax was a cool thing. It's a very powerful thing, but it was being used to enhance the problem, which is the liquidity pool, which is why you were never going to the moon in Safemoon. It was impossible. You're never going to the moon. There's too many whales, and all the volume only feeds their power. Even if a bunch of whales leave, the rest of the whales are still getting most of the tokens through the reflections. And so a tax, tokenomics can be a very powerful thing, but it's what you do with the tax that matters. And so you have to use the tax to counter the negative effects of the liquidity pool, the negative incentives of the liquidity pool. Liquidity pool incentivizes and rewards the death of the project. This isn't speculation, this isn't opinion, this isn't like some theory, it's just fact. Whoever puts the biggest red candle on a chart gets rewarded the most. You win the game. Your game is to get as much people in after you with the false narrative that they're going to be rich, and then to sell before everybody else before you at the highest point in the price. That's the game we're all playing in any taxless token. We're hoping the price goes up. That's why we're marketing. If you're marketing to people, you're basically saying, hey, I'm in this, come be in this, and maybe you'll make money too, but basically I'm already in this, I'm going to sell on you. And we all understand that, but that's That's the reality of what's going on. And we have to convince those people that they're going to make money. Just like you do with the pyramid scheme, you have to convince all the people below you that they're going to make money in order to get in. It's only the people at the top that are really making the value. That's DeFi. That's DeFi, guys. DeFi is, the liquidity pool works like a pyramid scheme. I don't know if anybody's ever said that. I've never seen anybody say that before. But 100%, because of the ratio, how that ratio changes, it's 100% a pyramid scheme. And all the value, all the power goes to the whales. And because the story and the liquidity pool are linked, like the narrative of something is directly tied to the liquidity pool. As the value goes up, so does the story. As the value goes down, so does the story. So does the sentiment. So does the belief and the hype. So the only way to solve this problem, I don't see a way to solve this problem. I don't see a way to solve it outside of a second wealth distribution mechanism that counters the negative effects of the first one. This is why I believe that, like, hey guys, I think that if you're like me, and if you're logical, and if you like the truth, you can see that I'm not BSing you here. A secondary wealth distribution, right? Tokenomics. And the values in the liquidity pool. Everybody's seeking the value that is in the liquidity pool. That's what everyone's seeking. That's where the sentiment is. That's where the narrative is. That's where the belief is in the value, the value and the potential value of the liquidity pool. It's usually people's belief in the potential value that causes them to be exit liquidity. Because, right, people think that they're potentially going to make money, and it's really just the early buyers. Whenever they hit their selling points, whether it be $2 grand, $3 grand, $5 grand, that's when the project dies. Where if they had just held, if all the early buyers just hold, the project will keep growing. And then as long as those people hold, the project will keep growing. And so everybody wants to be in a project that grows, but there's way too much incentive to not allow a project to grow. There's way too many bad actors, pump and dumpers, people rugging, and even if you're not a bad actor, if you get in early in a project, the price goes up, you're going to take your profits. You'd be stupid not to, because that's the game of the liquidity pool. So we need to take value, sentiment, belief, hype. Those are all the same thing. The narrative, the story, these are all the same thing. Sentiment. And we need to give it to, instead of giving it to the sellers who destroy the project, who do the most damage. This is what the liquidity pool rewards, right? We're going to give it to, why don't we do it to the opposite? The holders who keep the project alive, who help it grow the most. Whoever has the most amount of tokens and is holding for the longest period of time should be rewarded the most. And so what we do very simply is we use tokenomics to take from buys. So when everybody buys, they pay a tax. Where does that tax go? It goes into the future. It gets taken. And this part is really important too. If you were in Safemoon, reflections is never going to work. Reflections is a terrible idea. Terrible. Because reflections are tied to the value of the liquidity pool. Whenever sells happen, those reflections go down too. But if you convert it to a stable coin, you preserve the value. That value can't go down. It's attached to the dollar. And technically, my project, you have a utility appreciating stablecoin. It's utility that's going to cause the price to go up as well. So, with the value, the hype, the story, the sentiment, we need to take from buys. So everybody who comes into the project is agreeing to pay into the future to keep the project alive and to incentivize the growth of the project by taking that value, converting into a stable coin, and rewarding it to the people who deserve it the most. We're changing the game from whoever does the most damage to the project, to the price, to the sentiment, which is the game of the liquidity pool. By shifting value out of the liquidity pool into stablecoin rewards in the future, we're rewarding people who hold. And so we're changing the game to doing that. Like, let's reward in a project. If you hold, the most amount of tokens and everybody else sells, you lost. You should have sold, right? That's, oh, damn, I wish I would have sold when I was up $60 million, 500,000, 50,000, 10,000. Oh, I wish I would have sold. But in this, if a sell-off happens, you know that there's future value in the future that is permanent. It can't go down. It's a stable coin. And liquidity pool can always go down. The permanent value in the future cannot go down because it's a stable coin. So we have to preserve. What are we preserving, right? The value. We're preserving the value. What are we preserving when we preserve the value? Hype. We're preserving the story. We're preserving the sentiment. And we're doing it in a long-term fashion that is permanent. It can't go down. The rewards can't go down. The value of the rewards can't go down. The rewards can only go up. As buys and sells happen, the rewards permanently go up in the future. And because it's in a utility appreciating stablecoin, the value of those rewards can only go up as well. So if you have $1,000 and the stablecoin goes from $1 to $1.10, now you have $1,100. No other projects has exploded with these kind of tokenomics or with these kind of rewards. Hoping that Control Token can be the first one to make appreciating stablecoin rewards a big thing. Safemoon made reflections big. I believe Evergrow made stablecoin rewards big, and I'm hoping that Control Token can make appreciating utility stablecoins big, to be the biggest project to give out appreciating stablecoin, utility appreciating stablecoin, which is a really cool idea. So I hope that anybody who's watching this can see that there is not an ounce of opinion, of speculation in any of this. This is all just the reality of what's going on. And that's all I'm saying is, hey, we can approach this in a delusional way or in a deceitful way. But if you're doing that, you're trying to profit off of other people's loss. If you're lying, if you're coming at this from a deceitful way, if the idea that you're trying to sell people on in a crypto, even if you have good intentions, you're probably just not being honest that most people aren't going to do well and only the people who get in early are going to profit. And so this is one of the, like, for me, maybe you guys don't agree with me. To me, this is one of the best things I've ever seen. It's the best tokenomics project I've ever seen. It's one of the best projects I've ever seen because it's a realistic approach to the problem that no one's addressing. The problem that no one's addressing outside of the bad actors. There are people who try to address the bad actors, but you end up getting stuck with a project that doesn't provide any value in the future to look forward to. And as soon as the whales take the profits, the project's dead, right? We guaranteed every buy shifts value into the future, and the sells shift value into the future as well. And sells are actually a higher tax. Sells are 20%, 2% goes to the treasury, 18% of sells get converted into stablecoin rewards. And so what is that doing? The buys is everybody who comes into the project agrees and understands that we're all paying this tax and this tokenomics. It's not just a tax that you lose money. It's a tax that rewards the people who keep the project alive. That's why we're paying into the future of the project. We're paying to incentivize the growth of the project by shifting value from all the buys that ever come in into the future stablecoin. We're preserving that value. We're preserving the hype. We're preserving the story. We're preserving the sentiment. It can't go down. The liquidity pool, the value, the sentiment, the hype, the story, the belief, it can go up and down and up and down. But by having preserved sentiment, story, hype, belief, and value in the future that can't go down, it can only go up, it affects the story of the liquidity pool, which is the story of the liquidity pool is potential price. What is happening, and will it cause the price to go up or will it go down? You have always permanent value in the future. Honestly, dude, I love Control Token because it's such a great thing for so many reasons. But this one's really cool if you haven't seen this one, or if you haven't understood this one. As buys and sells happen, you have every month, you have 12-month events, and then you have 2 6-month events. This happens twice. Sorry, I'm not. So this one happens one time. This one happens 12 times, the 1 month rewards. The 6 month rewards happen twice, and the 12-month happens once. But the thing is as this volume is happening, these rewards start permanently going up until they get distributed. They can't go down. What does this do? Especially this one's always going to be biggest because the tax is structured in a way that 2% of the tax goes towards monthly rewards, 4% goes to the 6-month rewards. So no matter what volume, monthly volume you have for those first 6 months, when we get to the 6-month reward event, it's going to be double whatever that last 6 months reward is. It, no matter what, will always be twice as big. The 12-month will always be it's 7 to 12%, 7% of buys, 12% of sells, which means it's 2 to 3 times bigger than the 6 months event. That's the big control event. The control event is the 12-month event happening the same time as the second 6-month event. The first 6-month event happens by itself. The second 6-month event happens at the exact same time as the 12-month event, and it also happens as the same time as the last month event. So it's building and building and building. And what this does is this permanent value, this permanent sentiment, this permanent hype cannot go down. It's stable and it can only go up, and the value of it can only go up. This puts a natural demand on what? On the liquidity pool. If I can drop $100 for that month and I can get $150 in rewards, of course I'm going to do that. Why wouldn't I do that? So the permanent rewards in the future put a natural floor and a natural demand on the liquidity pool. But it doesn't just do that, because it also, that value of the rewards can only go up. It also puts the potential demand. Meaning that if right now, say because we're going to have a calculator on the website, website's being finished. As soon as the website's done, we're going to announce a launch date. If you put it in your calculator and you're like, oh, cool, I'd be getting, $200. That's not bad, just the first month, right? But there's still 20 days left in the month. You're like, okay, it's not just $200. The value of that could go up even more, right? And in order to get these rewards, you have to stake. I might as well just go over the whole thing for anybody who might watch this. This is super important. There's so many amazing things to this. Like, call me out if you don't like it. I think there's so many amazing things to this. Reflections, stablecoin, delayed stablecoin, appreciating stablecoin, delayed appreciating stablecoin. So reflections are given out immediately, right? And what does that mean? As soon as reflections are given out, now it's dependent on more volume to provide those reflections. Super important to remember that factor. Stablecoin, given out immediately. It preserves the value, which is good, but it's given out immediately. And basically, if you have a tax for a project and you give it out immediately, you're rewarding and incentivizing what the liquidity pool incentivizes, which is the death of the project. You get your rewards, you sell. Cool, I got a bunch of rewards, I'm going to sell. Reflections does the same thing. How do you fix that? Well, you delay it. What does delaying it do? It stops it from going to the people that leave the project. And so this is huge. If you got that, then also get this as well. Safemoon and Evergrow. And Evergrow's gotten a lot better, and I think Evergrow did great. I don't have any negative belief in Evergrow, but I also don't think that means that something can't be done better. I wouldn't do something unless I thought it could be done better. Safemoon and Evergrow gave the tax. It utilized the tax, and this is what I'm saying is that the power has always been in the people. It's always in the people. And if you tax, and there's a lot of people, there's a lot of power in that. Safemoon and Evergrow proved that. It's just with Safemoon, it only mattered for the whales because they were getting all that value, and then they were selling the price down, which means everybody else was getting less tokens, and they didn't have the power to sell because they weren't even anywhere close to their selling points. So Safemoon only enhanced the #1 problem of DeFi, which is whale dominance, according to the liquidity pool. I don't know if anybody's ever said those words, because I don't know if anybody's ever thought about that. Maybe some people have thought about how hey, yeah, SafeMoon, it's only benefiting the people at the top, but wording it that way, I haven't quite heard people say that. So, but here's the huge problem. Evergrow changed the game with the stablecoin rewards. It was the biggest one to do it, but it did it immediately, which means that it was constantly dependent on volume to have those rewards to keep going, and it rewarded the whales before they sell. Now you got your rewards and you can sell. And I'm not saying this was a bad thing. I'm saying it's much better, but still it can be done better. But one of the biggest things here is that it was going to every single wallet. So what that means is we're rewarding everybody for doing nothing. For simply buying, you're now getting rewards. What does that do? It greatly, 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 greatly reduces and dilutes the value. So if you have $100, you give it to 10 people, everybody has an equal amount of tokens or whatever, everybody's going to get $10. But if only you give it to one, that person's getting 100. That's nice, right? Especially if you add a thousand. If you add $100,000 to 10 people, everybody gets 10K. But $100,000 to 2 people, now they're getting 50K. You can see that obviously it's just not a hard concept to understand that if there's less people to share the rewards, then it's much greater value. But if you give it out to everybody, you're rewarding, once again, you're encouraging the problem of the project, which is the whale dominance. The people who actually control the project are the whales. In any project, the whales control the sentiment of the project. They can tank that project, and it's going to be very hard to recover from that. That's why I say whales have the project by the balls, dude. And it's by design. And most whales are not incentivized to hold. They're incentivized to destroy the project. They're just doing what they should do. If you're a whale in any project, there's no reason for you to hold, not take profits while everybody else does, unless you think the price is going to go up, and that is the game. Is the price going to go up? Is it not? If you look at the history of DeFi, it's not up for very long. And so in going to every wallet, it greatly dilutes the value, and it, like I said, it rewards and incentivizes the death of the project, because we're giving all the whales the most value for simply buying, and we're encouraging and magnifying the problem of the liquidity pool that shifts all the power, all the sentiment into a few hands of the early buyers. So how do you fix that problem, right? This is simple stuff, guys. Anybody could just simply walk through this and thought of this. Let's not give it to every wallet. Let's give it to the stakers. Let's do it over a delayed time period so that we reward the people who keep the project alive. If you buy this project and you have the most tokens staked at each reward event, you're helping keep the project alive the most. So you should be rewarded the most. And you still have the value of your bag, meaning you can sell. You can always pull out of the staking contract, but if you pull out early, you do forfeit 30% of your tokens. So when the control event happens, that 12-month event, it's not just all the stablecoin that built up for an entire year into a bigger and bigger event. It's also everyone who leaves the staking contract forfeits 30% of their tokens. So after you get your 12-month rewards, if you choose to do the 12-month thing with your whole bag or a separate bag or part of a bag, whatever people think to do, after you fulfilled the 12 months, because in order to get the 12-month rewards, you have to stake for 12 months. So whether you stake the first month or the last month, you now are in the staking contract for 12 months. If you pull out of that early, you have to forfeit 30% of your tokens to the staking contract to everybody else who stays. So we keep punishing those who are leaving the project, and we keep rewarding those who are staying. We're changing the structure to create one that incentivizes growth, that unites the community in the future of the project, instead of lying to them in order to benefit the early holders. That's what it does. When you're convincing people of Operation Phoenix and the Gambia and that John's this next huge thing, all those false narratives did every time a new idea would come out, and it would always be twisted into a positive for the future of Safemoon. That only benefited the whales and the team, and it hurt everybody else. You were exit liquidity all the way down to the contract being halted, right? And so it's super important to see that bad actors are benefiting off of people believing ideas that aren't true, because it's a pyramid-like structure, right? So Let me check something real fast. Holding my small bag of Squid Grow. Probably been a couple years now. Now Squid Grow, yeah, Squid Grow has Shibtoshi, who's funded the project himself, who has tens to hundreds of millions of dollars, I'm guessing. And I think that's why that's a good project to get behind. Most projects don't have that. I don't think any project has what Squid Grow has. I also think that Evergrow is in a good position to do well as well. It just depends on what happens, and I hope they do well, and I think that they have a really good strategy. I could talk about them, but I'm just focusing on this for now because I really like this. Let's address the problem that all of DeFi is facing, and I may not be huge, I may not have a ton of followers, but everything I'm saying is true. So we're taking the value and we're giving it to the people who deserve it the most, the people who are staking, the people who are keeping the project alive. You should get the value. Where is the value? It's in the liquidity pool. Where does the value come? How does the value get in the liquidity pool? People believe the value is in the buyers, right? The value is in the community that buys. And so we're taking that, and usually all of that goes to the liquidity pool, right? And then it's taken out by the pyramid-like structure of the whales. Whales take it out because they get more and more power to take it out. More people buy. If you put 1,000 in and you hit 1,000x, you just have, now you have the power to pull out $1 million. That's crazy, isn't it? And so through taxing cells, because you can't take away the game completely. That's one of the things I thought of. If you take away the game completely, liquidity pool, then people aren't going to want to do that. Like, people want to see big increases in their value, and they want to be able to take profits. And I'm just saying, does it have to be a zero tax on the way out? Like, that's crazy to me. Zero tax on the way out? You just $100,000, giant red candle. You took away the sentiment. You took away the momentum upwards. You took away the hype, the belief, and you paid zero consequences for doing so. And now everybody else is left with the project where they're hoping that you can get that momentum upward. And usually the whales go, oh man, this is just going down. I'm just going to take what I can. I could have taken 50K, but now I've got 15. I might as well might as well cut my losses and take the 15K. So in this project, you make 100 grand. Hey, I'm happy for you. You want to sell that 100 grand and you're not in the staking contract, you're forfeiting all your rewards when you're leaving the project. All the rewards you would have gotten, you're not going to get those because you're trying to take your value out of the liquidity pool. That's okay. I'm not trying to force you to do anything. But when you do that, 20% of that, 20 grand, you're leaving behind. Where is that going? It's going towards the rewards. Who is it going to? The people that are keeping the project alive. What are we doing? We're shifting the value from the sellers who destroy the project to the holders who keep the project alive over a time span of a year. Now the cycle restarts the next year. This can keep going, especially if it does really well. If this does really well, people are going to be like, what if this happens again? And the cycle can restart on another year. But right now we're aiming for the height of the reward event to be in the height of the bull market. As soon as we launch, we hopefully can launch in the next month or two. As soon as the website's done, we're setting a launch date. We're auditing the contract, we're auditing the staking, and then we're good. We're live. There's no utilities. It's purely a project that's designed to reward people who stay in it, alleviate that sell pressure. And this is why I've said with this project, there's only two goals of this project, and neither of these are deceiving people. And it's just a goal. I can't guarantee this will happen, although I think it's heavily incentivized, and I personally think it's likely. Allow for a project to realize its potential growth. And this is why I say, if you've seen my control video, one of the first things I start with is that I personally believe that every project would explode to a very high market cap, to a very high price, if people just held. As long as people hold, it doesn't really matter what the narrative is, because if the price goes up, it enhances, it creates its own narrative, right? People are like, I don't know why people are buying dog with hat. That sounds really stupid, but people are buying it. It's going up. I'm getting in. The price will create its own narrative as long as it goes up. And so the more it goes up, the stronger it gets. It's like a self-fulfilling thing. The more the price goes up, the more people believe in it. The more people believe in it, the more it goes up. It becomes like this exponential thing where people start telling their friends about it, and then they tell their friends, and then they don't get in, but then they regret not getting in, so they finally get in. That's how it works. It's just that is being stunted by bad actors and by the incentivization of the liquidity pool. So I feel like I have one of the only projects that actually incentivizes the growth of the project. So that's the number one goal, is like, hey, I want to create something that everybody's looking for, a project that explodes. That's what everybody wants. This is what's stopping it from happening. This is what causes it to happen. I've designed a contract that does that. I hope it does. I can't guarantee. I hope it does, because that's the number one goal of Control Token. Number two goal is to distribute wealth more fairly. Here's the reality of DeFi, is that you cannot create a project where everyone wins. If you want to do that, okay, there's probably rare cases where you could do that, but you would have to be an extremely giving individual who created some utility that brought in hundreds of millions of dollars, and you poured all of it back into the charts. That's possible, but extremely unlikely. And you'd have to be someone who just decided, I'm not going to keep the value, I'm going to give most of it away to the holders. But most of the time, most people, the scales are like this. The whales, the early buyers, they've got all the power, and everybody else getting in after them they get screwed. And so it's probably 90% or more losers, and then only like 5 to 10% winners in DeFi. But because everybody in Control Token is paying a tax when they buy and when they sell, we're just taking value out of the liquidity pool, we're preserving it, and we're giving it to the people who helped keep the project alive. And they can still sell their bag. You can get your rewards and then sell. Like, totally. Who knows where the price will be when that happens? It could be much higher. It could be a little bit lower than the all-time high. I don't know. I can't tell how this is going to go. I know that it's incentivized to grow and get bigger and bigger and bigger. That's what we incentivize. I'm not saying it's guaranteed, but literally the reward structure just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. What does that mean? There's a demand to have more and more tokens. What does that do? There's demand for the price to go up. What does that do? It all fuels each other, and I hope it does do that. So instead of it being 90 to 95% losers, I'm saying, hey, if by taking value and giving it to these people, we're actually able to not only have the sellers who take all the value out of the liquidity pool, and everybody who gets in underneath them is stuck in a pyramid scheme where they lost, but we're able to give it to the people who stake and hold. We're able to reward people and shift that value to their hands, to the holders. Whether you be a big holder or a small holder, you're staking. Whether you come in at the beginning, whether you come in at the end, you're staking, you're getting rewards. You're getting value that was intended for the liquidity pool. And that's the only two goals. I mean, there's a lot of other things that I'm aiming to do outside of that, but these are the two main goals. Is let's create something that grows by dealing with the problem of why projects stop growing, and let's create something that distributes wealth more fairly. If Safemoon had something like this in place, first of all, I don't think anyone's ever done this, but if Safemoon had something like in place, I don't think the sell-offs would have happened. I don't think they would have been as big, and I think they would have rebounded or recovered and went on another run. But let's just say, for the sake of understanding this, that it didn't, that the chart did exactly what it did, but it had this structure in place. All of the rewards, all of the stablecoin rewards, you're talking tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars to millions of dollars, actually, especially with the volume that Safemoon and Evergrow had. Evergrow did about $40 million in stablecoin rewards, and it gave it to every single wallet, and obviously the whales got most of that, and the people who sold got that. Now, technically in Evergrow, when a whale sold, they forfeited all the volume rewards they would have gotten in the future. So they did, in a sense, forfeit the rewards they would have gotten to the other holders. But in this project, if you're not staking, you're forfeiting your rewards to everybody else. If you sell, you're forfeiting your rewards to everybody else. And because the rewards are being given out in a bigger and bigger measure into the future, you're forfeiting rewards that only get bigger and bigger, and rewards that can only keep getting bigger and bigger, and the value can only go up in it. So, yeah, that's... I just feel like this is a realistic approach to DeFi. That's what all of this is about. And like my number one goal after we get going is to create a community that is positive about the future, but realistic. Like, I am not going to be reinforcing delusional or dropping a little hint and hoping that the community goes crazy and speculates wildly. I would nip that in the bud so fast. I'd be like, nah, that's not going to happen, guys. If we do well, it's not going to be through lying to people. It's not going to be through deceiving people, because that only benefits the whales. If you're lying to people to get them into a project, you're encouraging and reinforcing the pyramid structure of the liquidity pool. But if we're being realistic, then we're allowing people to take profits if they want to. They go, oh, I don't know about that, but now I'm taking profits because you've told me the truth. Or to hold, to go, hey, you're being so transparent about this that I can actually see how big the potential is for the future, and now I want to hold. But we're creating a community that like, because Safemoon had a community that was positive but unrealistic, and so when things started to come out that were bad, as far as the team and Thomas and John stealing and the products not being good, and then they became what was known as probably one of the best communities in DeFi, became known as one of the most toxic, delusional communities in DeFi, because they were unrealistic, because they were trained to be unrealistic by the storyteller of Safemoon, which was John Caroni. He's a storyteller, and he was good at it. He's good at making you believe he's doing the next big thing. And I saw it in an interview once. Somebody sent it to me where he's doing this interview with this lady, and he talks about how he learned storytelling from gaming, and he brought that into DeFi. So it's pretty funny. John knew what he was doing. So my goal with Control Token is to create a positive, like, it's good to be positive. Like, what you shouldn't, if you were negative, then like, yeah, you don't be in the project. Positive, hey, let's work towards the future, and let's hope in this, and let's all work together to make the dream come true. But let's be realistic about it. And it's probably one of the last things I'm going to say before I finish this. We're all building a rocket ship. I'm going to try not to draw a penis right now. Dude, I don't draw rocket ships. There's no way to not draw a penis. I'm sorry, guys. It's just going to look like a penis. That's just what rocket ships look like, okay? Rocket ship, not penis. Shut up. Rocket ship. Okay. We are a community that builds, and what we are is a team. Like, that's literally what we are. We're all working towards the same goal. And the goal is, we want to take the rocket and we want to go to the moon. This is what every project is pretending to be. Outside of the projects I believe in, I'm not saying there's other projects that I don't know about that might be good projects as well, but I believe in Evergrow, Vitreous, and Squidgrow. Those are the only ones I really believe in. Maybe Staked, Hospitality. But as of right now, most projects are doing this. And here's the thing: is everybody says to the moon, but we're back to the liquidity pool structure, where the moon is closer for the people who get in at the top. The early buyers, their moon is right here. They can reach the moon. You can't. You're way down here. You're not going to be able to reach the moon. And so what's super important about this is that we work together as a team to get the rocket ship to go to the moon. But what Control Token does is it has two different moons. It has the liquidity pool moon, which is your price, your selling point, right? Whatever your selling point is, and that can obviously change as your sentiment in the project changes. It might go up, it might go down. To have a moon of the control event, the reward events, the control event, we all have a moon that we can literally actually be united on. That's why I always say in the liquidity pool, we're divided, because we have to sell on a bunch of people that get in after us. That's not very unified. And we have to sell before each other does. That's not unified either. The liquidity pool divides us. The reward event, the control event, unites us. We can all equally work towards these permanent rewards in the future that result in the project growing. Now, we all want the project to go to the moon. How does that how does that happen? How do we as a community and as a team get this rocket ship, get the control token, to go to the moon? Both the liquidity pool moon and the control event moon. Well, we have to be realistic because let's just say that we all got together, everybody who gets in control token, and we had to literally build an actual rocket ship to go to the moon. Well, we're not going to start being like, yeah, just throw a couple gas cans on there and put a little light a match at the bottom, bro. We'll probably make it. Like, the more unrealistic you are about such a serious thing, the more likely people are to get hurt. And the less likely you're actually able to. We actually have to be smart. We have to be like, okay, how do we get momentum upward? Like, really, how are we going to get that? How do we keep that momentum on our way there? What's going to stop us from coming down? And so we have to be realistic. We all have to be about the growth, and we have to be unified. If we're divided against each other, Jesus Christ said, any house divided against itself can't stand. If we as a community, as a team, is divided against itself, what the liquidity pool naturally does, then we're not going to be able to stand. Well, that's why every project's failing, because people can't be divided or united in a liquidity pool that divides them. But we can be, so control token, we will be divided in a liquidity pool, but we're also going to be united in the control event, the rewards. And so this balances this, and it technically creates a long-term permanent narrative that can't go down, that incentivizes the short-term narrative of the liquidity pool to keep growing. That's what it's designed to do. I can't guarantee that a sell-off happens and the sentiment doesn't recover. That's a possibility. This is me being real with you, present, because the only way to be real with you guys, present the potential positive, the potential negative, let you decide for yourself. We can all say what you think is more likely and more realistic. I personally feel that this is very likely and more realistic to do well than to do bad, because it's structured to do well. If projects that have a liquidity pool pyramid-like structure can blow up to insane market caps, then surely one that has a unified control event structure can blow up to an insane market cap. That's my personal belief. I still put out there as a possibility, hey, what if we can't get people to agree to attacks and people don't want to get into it? What if somebody sells and barely takes any profit and leaves and the sentiment's down and we can't really recover and the rewards are small? Those are possible. But I think that it's likely it's going to be a lot easier to recover from sell-offs in a project like this because there's so much actual reward for doing so. If somebody sells, there's actually, when you buy the dip, not only do you have the potential to actually make more profit, but you're going to get more rewards for staking those tokens. And so, Mitch Bromwell, thank you for the $2. Thanks for explaining control token. No problem, man. I hope you guys like it, and I hope you see that it's not just. This isn't, for me. This isn't like I want to do a project. I'm going to come up with an idea. What's the idea? I want to make money. It's like, no, what's the problem that's happening all across DeFi? Let's solve that. Why is wealth being given only to the people who destroy a project? Let's balance that. How do we get a project to grow for a long period of time? Let's put something that actually incentivizes that. So that and what are we going to do that with? Where the power actually comes from, the community. I don't know. For me, it all makes sense, and maybe I'm biased because I made it, but for me, this feels like an ace. This feels like, I always say this, it feels like I have multiple aces up my sleeve. And it's just a simple approach to a simple problem. And it's a more honest and realistic approach to it. But it is going to, the final components of control token is going to be us working together as a team, as a community, to market control token. And that's what I'm saying, like, hey, I'm giving you something that if you believe it the same way I do, you can actually feel better about telling people about this. You can feel confident telling people about this. This is why I'm like pretty laid back about this. And I'm willing to stake my reputation on this. If this doesn't do well, people are going to be like, hey, remember that crappy project you launched? And they'll blame me for its failure, right? And I'm like, I'm pretty confident that what we have, I'm worth staking it on it. I'm that confident in the idea because I understand it in a fundamental level, that it's dealing with the problem of DeFi, it's capitalizing, utilizing the reason that projects grow, and it's doing it in a way that hasn't been done before, and it has the utility appreciating stablecoin rewards on top of it during what should be the height of the bull market. I mean, how many positive things do we need to add to it? And I'm doing all of this in a realistic sense. So I'm shifting people's perspective from being, oh, this is why you're all going to be rich, and it actually isn't going to help you. It's only going to benefit the early buyers to like, hey, these ideas are actually true. And if you are staking, you literally are getting those rewards. And the last thing I'll say here is unless the project's volume just dies immediately, that looks terrible, sorry. The story, it kind of does, there's so many factors of a story or a narrative that continually change for a project, but the price is the biggest one, I think. And so as the price goes up, so does the story for the holders who are getting in later. Because we still have a liquidity pool, we still have that pyramid-like structure of the liquidity pool that is just there, right? But we have the rewards in the future too. And these are all narratives. The rewards is a narrative, the liquidity pool is a narrative, the price is a narrative. And so it might be different. Hey, the price has gone up this much. Is the price going to go up a lot more, or is it about to tank? You know, that's what the holders who keep and continue to get into the project later on are going to have to deal with, is the changing narrative of the price. Anyways, I could probably go on forever, and I should probably end this because people probably won't watch it because it's too long. But I hope I showed you why Safemoon could never have worked. It was always a lie in order to benefit the team and the holders. There was no way that reflections were ever going to be valuable enough. And I know this now. I could never fall for this again, but I was new to DeFi when I first learned about reflections. I was still barely learning what liquidity pools were. I didn't know much. Now I know a lot more. I would never fall for reflections again, and every project that I do has to run through all these filters of my understanding of all of these things, right? Which I think most of us understand. I think most of you guys know. You might even know it better than me if you've been in DeFi a lot longer. What after a year? Thanks for the truth and the problem, OG. I appreciate that, man. The name of the project is Control Token. Thank you so much for putting that out there, Mitch Bromwell. Always been awesome. Here's the last thing I'd say is that Safemoon is a lie that was, when you're being evil, you're benefiting yourself at the cost of other people. Plain and simple. That's what selfishness is. That's what lying is. The only reason you're lying is to deceive, to cover up something you've done, or to benefit off of somebody else, right? And so I hope you can see that we are trying to base this off of the truth, not a lie. And what does that mean? We're trying to actually benefit other people. We're not trying to benefit off of deceiving them. We're trying to benefit off of helping them. And I hope that people can see that this is the type of thinking that I am demonstrating with every decision, from the design of the liquidity pool to the delayed rewards, so that every opportunity, every decision that I make in the future of Control Token, say a utility pops up, say an opportunity pops up, it's going to be what? For the benefit of the holders. It's not just a promise. I've demonstrated that in my thinking, and you can see it in every aspect of everything I just described to people. And that's where I'm like, is it easier to deceive people into believing a lie to make that all their dreams are going to come true? And if so, then I'm not going to do that. I'm going to try to tell people the truth, and if it does well, it does well, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. But I'm not going to benefit off of deceiving people and lying to them. So the last thing I'll say is something that if we do well, this is something I'm going to demonstrate, and you're going to see it. The Treasury receives marketing funds. Any opportunity that we get, say, and this is the big one that I'm going to try to have to unite the community on, is on Sunday, we got to do spaces for at least 30 minutes to an hour. Sunday, I need everyone to show up. It's your investment. If you can show up for 30, this is like the bare minimum I would ask of people. If we get a couple hundred people in a space, that creates massive value in and especially if I live stream it as well. And I can do both. I can live stream it on YouTube and do it on Twitter. And the more people that gather, the more value there is in that. Safemoon had that. It had a ton of people. That's what the product was. John Caroni benefited off of the swap partners and probably a ton of other deals that he did, the exchange listings and everything. Not because John was amazing, but because we had a massive community. But John didn't use the profit from the power of the community to benefit the community. What is it that I'm doing with the tokenomics? Using the value that we gain to benefit the community. So that if we do well, we do have 2% of the tax, of the buy and sell tax. That's it. 2% of the buy and 2% of the sell. The sell is the buy is 15, the sell is 20%. So 13% of the buy goes towards rewards, and 18% of the sell goes towards rewards. But the 2% goes to the treasury. That's used for dev work, marketing, and paying the team. I want to spend all my time making videos and doing this. I'm not rich. I can't do that for free. If we can get enough to just support me so that I can do this at least part-time, if not full-time, then that's the ideal scenario for Control Token, is for me to be able to work on videos every single day. I know how to, once we build a community, I've proven with Safemoon that once I build a community, I know how to make videos that they enjoy, and I know how to do it in a way that's beneficial to them, and I would be able to do that for my own project like I am right now. It's just we're getting a slow momentum growing, and there should be, I hope, more hype as we enter into the actual launch of the project, because people are so put off on pre-sales, but we actually have a pre-sale that should be the value floor, that you're actually getting in at the floor and the price moves up from there. I know I've never seen a pre-sale do that. It's so rare. Rare does that happen because there's so many bad actors that are dumping on pre-sales. And when you get dumped on a pre-sale, you're stuck in a project that has bad sentiment right off the start with a value less than what you put in. It's almost always you do a pre-sale, you put in $1,000, now it's down to 400, then it goes down to 2, then it goes down to 100, the project dies, no one gives a crap. Most projects are doing that. Most pre-sales are doing that. I actually have the pre-sale that's actually benefiting the people who do the pre-sale as well. Now we are taking 60% is going to be seeded, but we can determine the price at launch. So the value is going to be whatever you put in. Your bag's going to say, if you put in $100, it's going to say $100. If you sell, you're selling, you have to pay $20. You're now at a loss. What does that do? It preserves the floor. What does that demonstrate? That the decision making that I make always goes into what's best for the growth of the project, and that benefits everybody. I'm not trying to take advantage of people. And so the treasury, we have marketing. And this is something I would love to do, is to take marketing and not just use it to, not saying we can't, but reach out to influencers or, pay them to talk about it or to do a space or to cover it. We can still use marketing to do that, right? And I already have a couple that agreed to do it at launch of, when we launch, we'll have a couple of the, Safemoon YouTubers that I've reached out to cover it. But, I would love to give marketing, hey, if we do a space and a couple hundred people show up on the space and another project wants to be seen because they're like, oh, this place has a couple hundred people in it actually, maybe we could get our project on there so they can look at it. And they say, hey, well, how much would you charge to do a space? And I'd say, well, we've got a couple hundred, so that's probably about three to $5 grand, and we do $3 to $5 grand. They pay to get on the space. They cover their project. We look at their project. What do I do with that? I keep that. I go buy something that I no. What I do with that? Maybe I take a percentage of it, take another percentage of it, give it to the people that are actually in the space, right? Do a giveaway to people in the space that are showing up. Reward them for actually showing up. This never happened with Safe. This is never rewarded for showing up with Safemoon. Especially with swap partners and stuff like that. You were the product. You were being abused to your own detriment. And then take the rest and put it into rewards. Give it back to the people who keep the project alive. So I think that you're going to find that if Control Token does well, every opportunity, every marketing opportunity, if the community brings value that increases that produces profit, it's going back to the community. Like I'm okay with taking a percentage of it because I'm like, yeah, if I created an amazing project, then I feel like I should be rewarded for that. But I'm not doing it by taking from the liquidity pool. I'm not doing that by deceiving people. We have a 2% treasury. You can use that to pay ourselves. But you're going to find that the priority of the 2% of the tax, and we have to have a lot of volume for that to mean anything because it's not a lot. You have to have like millions of dollars for it to mean anything worth of volume. That the priority is going to be dev work, and then outside marketing, and then inside marketing. And I consider myself at this moment the inside marketing. The priority is to do outside marketing, but also, in my perspective, I am a very important component to this because I haven't seen a project that has somebody who makes videos as the one who's like founded it. You know what I mean? So to have me working on videos and doing live streams and doing spaces and doing stuff like that nonstop is extremely important to the community. And then all the community has to do is go and watch it and like it and share it. And I'm not just putting out crap content. I'm actually talking about real things that people like. Now, the things that people get most excited about is if the price is doing well. So if we're doing that, then people will show up. They'll be like, this is amazing. Let's go do the space and see what Crypto Control has to say about what we're doing right now. Is there any new announcements? Is there any new partnerships that he's going to utilize for the good of the project? I think we actually have like a really good position, a really good project to do well. Go get him, Tiger. So Crypto Control, you're going to try doing this every Sunday around 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I need to pick a good time, but yeah, something like that, Mitch Bromwell. Thank you. We are mooning Serbia here. Hey, what's up, Serbia? How's it going, bro? $15 bag is skin in the game. Congratulations. I bought $15 for now. Hey, yeah, whatever you think. That's what I was talking to my brother about. I was like, hey, he only put in like 85. I was like, that's cool, man. But if we do 1,000x and like say you're taking profit, say you're not going for the rewards, and you do 1,000x or 100x, then that'll put you at like 10 grand. That's not bad. But if you put in 1,000, that puts you to 100 grand. You got to realize that. And I'm not telling you to do this because it's completely, the formula for investing comes down to your belief, your realistic belief, followed by your financial capabilities. And that's it, right? Your belief plus your financial capabilities. If you don't have a lot to put in, that's fine. But obviously, the more you risk, the greater the potential for reward and loss. And the less you risk, the less you can lose and the less you can gain. It's just that's part of the game of investing. The more you put in, the more potential for rewards, but also the more potential for loss. So yeah, guys, I'm gonna probably end that there. Thanks for showing up. It was awesome hanging out with you guys and explaining control token. Not just control token. This is explaining the reality of DeFi that is causing a lot of people to lose. And so I hope that even if you don't do control token or you don't agree with what it is that I'm doing, that's okay. I just want to give people an opportunity to decide. I'm not trying to persuade people to do it. I'm just trying to reveal what I see about it and then let you decide for yourself. So yeah, the reality of DeFi is bad actors are benefiting off of your belief in an idea. And the idea usually is never true. The idea usually turns out to not be true. That's happening over and over again. Mitch, I sent him a message. Like, he said he would, and then I sent him a message and asked him to, and he never responded. And then I sent him a video, and he never responded to that. So I don't think I'm going to push him anymore. But I do, because honestly, it would have been cool to have that. But there's pros and cons to it. Like, what if it attracts the wrong crowd? You know what I mean? Or it may not. But the pro is like, hey, Slum Doge talked about this project. I don't know. There's pros and cons to it, but it actually might be better. And I'll still do the space if he wants to. If he changes his mind or if he remembers and goes, oh, crap, I forgot about that. Hey, sorry about that. I'll do the space. I just don't want to be like nagging him about it. And because we're on the Squid Grow team together, and I don't want to be like a douchebag. I only brought it up because he offered it to me, but if I just don't want to get pushy with it. He did say last week that he would do it, but now he's not responding. Maybe he just hasn't seen the DM, or I don't know. I'm just not going to push him on it. But also, part of me, let me say this last thing. I could talk for so freaking long about this. When it comes to marketing, this is the last thing I'm going to say, guys. I'm going to get off here. People want you to do something big, right? But if you do something big, that doesn't scream early. You know what I mean? And so people like feeling like they're early on something good. And so, like, I don't know if billboards or huge names talking about something makes people feel like they're early on something that's good. So it might be that no, you're fine for checking. I would ask too, and I just I'm just not gonna push him on it. You know what I mean? But if he does it, he does it. If he doesn't, like, I don't I don't think control token is dependent on somebody pushing a narrative to get it to blow up. I think that it'll naturally grow, and I think natural growth is way better than like the fake growth from a celebrity or an influencer pushing it and getting a bunch of people to buy it. I also think that probably, you know, you have a lot of hard people set in their ways who think certain ways that this project might be weird to them. They might not accept it. So it could be better that, and I think so, that natural growth is going to be what causes this project to do well. But you want people to feel like they're early, and mass marketing may not make them feel like they're early. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, like, that's why I tell people, and there's not many people watching, but I appreciate you guys who show up. If you like control token and you feel like it's a good thing, for one, it's super early, so it is the time frame where if it does do well, obviously the people who get in earliest are still going to benefit. Even though we're changing the structure of the liquidity pool to not benefit them as much, it's still going to be more beneficial for the people who get in early as opposed to the later. We still have a liquidity pool. It's probably like 70% of the sentiment of the value in the liquidity pool, and then 30% or more of the value in the rewards. So, but get people in. Tell people you know about it. The more people that you trust that you get into this project, the stronger team and community mindset that we can build towards a project that actually blows up. Because that's what we all want. We want the project to blow up. What do? We have to buy and hold. We have to tell people about it. We have to market it. And look, if it was only liquidity pool, then you would be telling people about a project that you're going to dump on them, everybody who gets in after you, and about a project that might die and they might not have anything in the future to look forward to. Whereas with control token, you can feel confident that even if the price dumps, there's these future rewards that they can be able to get. Nothing's guaranteed, and everybody should see an investment as basically money lost. But I don't know. I think that people can just feel a lot more confident morally telling your family, your friends about it. Tell your DeFi people, hey, look at this project, and make sure they understand it. The better you guys understand it, the better you can communicate it, because it kind of is a lot to take on, and you do have to explain why liquidity pools are pyramid schemes and how to counter that structure. You have to explain how yes, removing the bad actors is good, but we're still stuck with the problem. There's no value in the future to look forward to. Well, let's take value out of the liquidity pool and let's give it out in the future. And let's take it from the people that sell and let's give it to the people that hold. And let's do it in a bigger and bigger manner. Now we've created a structure that incentivizes long-term growth. And that means that people who are getting in can actually have more of an expectation of the value of the liquidity pool to go up rather than down. Now it still could go down, but this project has more reason for it to go up than any other project I've ever seen personally, because we're literally changing how wealth is being distributed to incentivize that. So yeah, anybody has any questions, I'm free. Hit me up in Discord, hit me up in the DMs on Twitter. I'll answer anything. And we're just waiting for the website to finish. I'm going to audit the website and the contract and the staking. We're going to launch. We'll be good. And it'll come down to just pure marketing and partnerships and potentially a utility. It would be insane to add a good utility on top of this, but I'm not talking about, we're making an exchange, we're making a DEX, we're making this that everybody else has that's already being done, we're making a swapper. Everybody's creating those things. And I'm not saying that there's not potential to do those things. It's just you have to be the best of the best. You have to be different. You have to actually help people and meet a need in order to succeed that way. But if, say, Mark comes out with a utility that actually will benefit the community. I can add that on top of this and have that utility just feed rewards. I just don't want people's belief to be in something that might just cause them to lose money. But if an opportunity comes along, adding utility on top of something like this would be amazing, but it just has to be a good utility that actually produces profit, that actually benefits the holders. Evergrow in this bull run, I think it has a lot of potential, to be honest. I think the price is so far down, so many people know about it. I think that Sam is smart. You know, I disagree with his politics, and I may not even agree with all of his decisions regarding Evergrow. I do disagree with some things he did, specifically marketing things, and he knows that. I've told him that. But me and Sam, I think we're pretty cool with each other. I think we're friends, and the marketing strategy I think he has is a really good one. They've also shifted to rewarding stakers, which is a really good switch. And, you know, there's a lot of things that have gone wrong with Evergrow, but it's mostly comes down to dev work. And devs just, it's easy to get somebody to agree to something, and it's hard to get them to fulfill it, especially to the degree that you need for a community like Evergrow community. Thanks for putting out the link, Mitch. But my thing is, like, I want to give back to the people who helped me. And, like, if we do well with Control Token, I'd love to be able to give back to Mitch and just the people who just supported me during the small times. Like, that would be my goal, and I think you'll find that is what I will do. Anyways, referral. I'm not sure what you mean. There's no referral process of rewarding anybody who's doing referrals or anything like that. You're just getting people in. The pre-sale is creating rewards, because if we do a pre-sale with no rewards, then we've already contradicted what the purpose of the project is. So the pre-sale we have, I could probably pull it up on the screen. Just give me a second. So the pre-sale we have, you've got that video that explains it. It's one of the videos explaining it. It's not as in-depth as I'd like, but it gets the point across. Yeah, you got 60%. So you put in $100, $60 is going to be seeded. $25 is going to the treasury. $15 is going towards rewards. Treasury is to pay for the dev work. It's to pay for website, contract, audit, and it's to pay for marketing. It's for me to pay myself so that I can do this full time, depending on how much we raise. The more we raise, the more we have for the treasury. The more we have for rewards, the better. The rewards are going to be given out. I haven't decided how we're going to do that, but I am thinking about what is the best way to, incentivize the growth of the project with these rewards that we gain in the pre-sale. Now, the tokenomics for once we launch, that I cannot mess with. I mean, technically I could change the amounts, but I don't plan on it unless we see that something needs to change for the benefit of the project. But the pre-sale rewards, I can decide when those are given out, and I think that it's probably going to be best to give them out in a 2 to 3 month period, whatever's raised. So if we raise $100,000 in the pre-sale, that'd be $15,000 in rewards, and I'd probably do that in 3 months. I'd probably do it in a staggered event within 3 months, and that'll put us halfway to the first 6 month event, just to incentivize growth at the beginning of the project. So I think that's probably going to be the best strategy to do. But you're going to put in $60 in the pre-sale, but at launch, it's going to say $100 of value for your tokens. And then if you sell, you'd be back at 80. You'd be at a loss. So it's really cool, because what this pre-sale does is it helps you. You're able to pay into the rewards, pay into the future of the project, but get the amount that you came out with, that you put in. And if anybody sells, they sell at a loss. So you actually should be able to get in at the floor. You should be rewarded for doing the pre-sale, not punished for it. I've been punished for almost every pre-sale I've ever done. I think I literally have lost on every pre-sale I've done. And so I think this will be one of the few pre-sales where it's going to start at a floor and the price is going to go up. And then it'll be up to you to take profits or wait for rewards or however you want to play it. I can't control people's bags. I'm not a big CC or influencer. How will you gauge people like me who successfully bring people to our project? Oh, hey, mental money. So here's the deal when it comes to that, is I'm not promising that I don't want anybody to think that if they do something, therefore they should get something. But here's more so what I'm saying is, I will, of my own discrepancy, if I see somebody reach out and it causes a big, or even just shared a video and it got some big person's attention, they did a space and it led to something. It's basically how I'm going to do it is it's not guaranteed, so I don't ever come to me and expect it to be guaranteed. But at the same time, if somebody makes a big impact on the project and you're a community member, or even just a kind of a dent, I am going to do my best to make sure that I reward that behavior. I think you should be rewarded. I played a massive role in helping Evergrow grow. And it would be cool to have been rewarded for that, other than just like me being able to take profits or whatever, So what I would gauge it off of is if somebody's putting in a lot of effort, even if they're not making a big impact, but I just see them showing up every day and sharing and liking and stuff like that, I probably would be, if we brought in some marketing and we had a good enough amount of marketing, I'd probably be like, hey, send me a wallet. Like, I just want to say thank you for helping the project. I've seen your effort from the beginning. You show up every day. You show up on the AMAs. You like and retweet all the tweets. And I definitely, now if it turns into a lot of people, that'd be a lot harder to keep track of. But if somebody makes a video and the video gets 10,000 views and we jump 1,000 holders in one day and everybody's talking about that person, I'm going to be like, okay, as long as we had the funds, I believe a big thank you is in order, you know what I mean, to you. And it's never going to be in tokens. It's never going to be to the hurt or the detriment of the project. It'll be coming from our own marketing funds, right? The marketing funds that we can use for other influencers or whatever it might be. I believe it should be used to reward the community for those who show up every day and for those who make a big impact, you know what I mean? You'll be doing this because you want other people to buy and enjoy the rewards in the future, influencer. My only thing I'm saying with that is I want people to understand that if you do happen to make a big impact, like you're going, and especially like if I miss it or something, which I doubt I will. That's what I say, if any of you guys, if Mitch told his friend and he told some big person and then a bunch of people came in, well, they're going to say, oh, hey, I heard about this from Mitch Bromwell. And I'll be like, damn, I just had like 10 people tell me about Mitch Bromwell. And that brought in a bunch of holders. Let's make sure and say thank you. And I'll try to say thank you according to the impact that you had. If you bring in 10, 20 holders, that's awesome. That's probably worth, hundreds of dollars. If you brought in thousands of holders, I'd probably say that's worth quite a lot. You know what I mean? If you brought in 1,000 holders, I'd say that's worth, thousands of dollars. So probably more. So that's definitely something to, in my mind, to reward. You know what I mean? Usually if the community works really hard or something, they're just not rewarded. A lot of people felt that way with Safemoon. They're sharing and making videos and putting stuff out and helping, doing more for the project than the team. I think the community of Safemoon did more for Safemoon than the team, actually. And I think I was a part of that with the videos I was making and stuff. The marketing that we did for Safemoon was massive. And no, you're good. You're good, Mental Money. I was just trying to portray it in a, unless you're talking to Mitch Bromwell, a way that people understand. So every decision, everything is going to be about the benefit of the holders and the growth of the project. Anyways, guys, it was awesome hanging out with you guys. Like I said, feel free to message me if you need to. Mental Money, Mitch Bromwell, Svetor Mihalvich, Joseph Marshall. Have we considered a buyback wallet that made rewards and bought back in at certain times, or is that too much glitter? A buyback wallet that made rewards. A buyback wallet that made rewards. Can you elaborate on that further, what you mean? Hey, CC, keep up the good work, bud. Thanks, Maddie. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for stopping by. I'm about to take a break for the day and probably do some work around the house and get some food. Ciao, guys. Hey, I'll see you later. Svetozar. I don't know how to pronounce that. It was for both of you. Oh, okay. No, you're good. I didn't take any offense, man. I just was like, my goal with control token is to not set any expectation, but to just let you know that if you watch, I think you'll see that I reward people. I'm saying don't expect it, but watch, and you'll see that I will, if I can, as long as we have marketing funds. Can we post your vlogs on our YouTube? What YouTube? The Squid Grow? Are you talking about the vlog for control token? Still waiting for your response, Mr. Joseph Marshall. Yeah, I don't get any tokens, guys. I did the pre-sale as well. And I'll be honest with you guys, because I'm always trying to be honest. My approach is going to be one of having a bag for staking and having a bag for taking rewards or taking profits at some point. But obviously taking profits is going to be like, my goal for taking profits is going to be like Moon. It's not going to be like, oh, we went up a little bit, I'm going to just help destroy the incentive of the project. Also for taking profits, and I'll be talking to the community about this, as if we grow, you know, if we do well, I'll be like, hey guys, for taking profits, try to do it in a way that helps the project grow. If you're selling, sell a little bit at a time. As long as there's buy pressure. If we're growing and you do a giant red candle, that's really going to hurt the charts. But if you sell a little bit at a time, a little bit at a time, a little bit at a time, if you're trying to take profits, then you keep getting more because the value keeps going up, unless somebody else puts a giant red candle. I'm just hoping that we can work together as a community to kind of all of us be in all of our decisions doing what's best for the project, whether you're buying the dip or whether you're selling. If you're leaving, hey, don't leave in a way that is beneficial to the project as much as possible. A wallet that gets rewards and then buys back the token. Sorry, I had to be or two. No, you're good. It could have meant a lot of things. I assumed that's what you meant, but I was just making sure. Maybe at a low volume or good price. I think we can do that with the 2%, because we have 2% of buys and 2% of sells. And if we get in a large amount of, like, I think we'd have to do, if we did 200 million in volume, which is like massive, then what is that? Or no, if we did 100 million in volume, that would be $2 million, right? For the 2% tax. And so that's a lot. But if we did that well, I don't know if we will or not, then we'd have $2 million in the treasury wallet. We can use that for marketing and dev work. First things first, it would be dev work. If we had a utility, or if we wanted to upgrade the website, or if we wanted to do anything that helped that would be the priority. The second thing would be probably paying me, ideally just enough to get by. But if we end up doing really well, then I'd be okay with paying myself more. You know what I mean? For making a good project, I don't see anything wrong with that. That's why I want people to understand that, like, hey, I can pay myself out of the treasury, but it's just not going to be. It's only going to be enough to get by as much as possible. If we don't make enough, then I just have to do this on the side or something like that. But hopefully we do well enough that I can do this full time for the year and to control event. I think that'd be really exciting. The last thing I was going to say is that we can do whatever we want with that funds. It's technically a treasury. So if we say we made $1 million, then yeah, I mean, it would be extremely smart, and I think you can see that every decision that I make will be for the benefit of the community and for the project. To maybe if you took $100,000 or something and you put it towards the monthly rewards, and I told everybody, hey guys, we just took $100,000 and now it went to the monthly rewards. I don't think you'd want it to go towards buying the token, but the rewards, it's better to put it towards the rewards. Because if you buy the token, then you might help the chart, but you might just be feeding the sellers. You might be creating incentive to sell, depending. I just think it's always better to reward and to incentivize holding than it is to incentivize selling, right? And obviously, you want the price to go up. So if you did put it into the charts, the price would go up, and maybe that would help the price go up more. But I think that rewarding the long-term holding is better than rewarding the potential pump of the price that might be dumped on or not. Um, and if you put those rewards into, if you put that money into the rewards, then people might be likely to stake more and buy more. So awesome, cool to hear. Stay safe. The weather here is getting more crazy. I know, dude. Like I'm glad you said that. I need to get a storm shelter. Like I'm tired of like wondering if we might die every time tornadoes come through Oklahoma. I need to go get a storm shelter. So I might actually. I'm glad you said that. I'm gonna go talk to my family about that right now because we live next door to each other, and I rent and they own the place. So I'm going to go talk to that and try to get a storm shelter so that we don't die if a tornado comes through. Anyways, it was awesome hanging out with you guys. Joseph, Svetazar, Mitch Bromwell. I'll see you guys in the next video live stream I do. I'm not sure what it'll probably be video tomorrow. I'm at a point where I can keep doing marketing, but really it's just I need to get the website done. Once we get the website done, we can look at launch, and then I can put out the last final videos on the pre-sale. But yeah, just make sure you spread the word, and I'll see you guys later. You guys have a great time. Buy Bitcoin and lock it. That's not a bad idea. I've thought about stuff like that, but for now we're just going to keep this as it is. You guys have a great day.